It is a great day to film. This is the Canon 50mm f1.8 STM. Before I get into the package, I'm going to explain the difference between a cropped sensor and a full frame sensor. It is a prime lens. Prime lens means it is a fixed focal length because it isn't zoomed to a number. So if you would take a lens and you would notice, like the lens that I'm filming right now is a 18 to 135mm lens, so it zooms in to 135. So the smaller the number is, the more wide angle you get. So for an example, if I take a lens 10 to 18, that means that I would have a much wider angle. That lens, by the way, of 10 to 18mm lens, it is perfect for vlogging because it is a wide angle. With a cropped sensor, we would take the number of 50mm and we would find out what is the cropped factor of a sensor of a company. Like Canon, of the APS-C sensor that Canon has, the cropped factor is 1.6. So you would take the focal length of 50mm and you would times 1.6. That would equal to 80mm. So this would be a 80mm lens on a cropped sensor. Full frame sensor, it crops by 1 times. That is the difference between cropped sensor and full frame sensor. With the 50mm, if you put this on a full frame sensor, you would see vignetting. This lens is perfect for a cropped sensor. This is a really budget-wise lens. So if you're looking for a much quieter motor, I would recommend the Canon 50mm f1.4 UCM. And STM refers to stepper motor and UCM refers to ultrasonic motor. That is the price range is between $125 and $400. So if you want a quieter motor, I would recommend the Canon 50mm f1.4 UCM. Now, if you're not looking for a budget-wise for good bokeh, I would recommend the Canon 24mm f1.4 L2 UCM, which is more than 1,000, but it has that really good bokeh of 1.4. That is your f-stops, which means your aperture and how much you're bringing the light into your lens. The lower the number of the aperture, the more you bring in light, the better bokeh it is. Talking about bokeh, the more blades the lens has, the more softer the bokeh is. And bokeh refers to the softness of the light in the background. If your subject in front is in focus and then you would have the background blurred, and if you would see like round lights. So the less the number of the blades, the more triangle the bokeh is going to be, and it won't look good. You want the more softer bokeh of 7 blades, which the 50mm has. So your 7 blades, 8 blades, and 9 blades, that is a really good numbers of blades of the softness of bokeh. This lens is also for cropped sensor and full frame. Let's get into the package. This video is not sponsored. So we have the front of the package, you have the branding Canon, flip to the other side, 50mm f1.8 STM, flip to the other side, a picture of the lens, different languages, I can read Russian, Aputure 50mm, the branding Canon, and the front package. Open the package, we got instruction manual, anything else in the box? Nope. And the lens itself. Manual focus and autofocus. First impressions about the lens, it has some weight to it, not too much. It is your plastic fantastic. It's all plastic. Of course, if I open this cap, it does has a metal mount. The focusing ring is smooth. I read a lot of bad reviews that the focusing ring is not that good and your finger would be in front of the lens, and then when you film, you would see in your footage that your thumb is in the way. But I would say the focus ring is fine. I mean, it's not that smooth, but it does the job. Maybe over time it stiffens. You have to bond with your lens. You have to know your lens. Like I said in my previous video, is where I said whatever lens you have to create a story. So filmmakers would say that, oh, you just need 2 or 3 lenses. So you would have a zoom lens, and then you would have a smaller and a wide angle lens, whatever the number is of millimeter of lens. But I would say to that is that you can have 20 and 30 lenses, because all those lenses, if you know each individual lens, you would know how to create a beautiful story with those lenses, and you would have an awesome film. Now, of course, cinematic lenses, they're the best lenses. But whatever the lens is, budget or mid-range or high-end, it's good to know the 3 categories: low budget, mid-range, and high-end, and which one to work with. That's what I meant by bonding with the lens, is knowing the lens, studying out the lens. Where does it work? Where does it not work? And if you are in a film shoot and someone gave you a low budget lens, or you're in a situation where your lens could be ruined, you don't want to ruin a high-end lens, so you would go to a budget-wise where the lens would get ruined and you can just toss it. Of course, you can fix it and then sell it, but if you're in a situation of you're in a film shoot where your lens is going to be ruined and you know that, so of course there's your budget-wise lenses. So it's good to know all the categories of lenses to put it on a whatever camera it is, know where it works best, and start filming. Because the fact that if you won't know where that lens properly works, then you have to study out that lens, and within a time window, you need to get it done really quick. So I would recommend studying out lenses and knowing them, because lenses does more work than your video editing software. I'm gonna switch out my 18 to 135mm lens and put this lens on there and test it out, see how it works, where does it fail, and where does it work. The STM motor on this lens is very loud. I'm going to put it up to the mic and you can hear it for your own self-audience. I will compare the two between STM and UCM and you would hear which one is quieter. Out of focus. Now I'm going to switch it to manual focus. I did not turn up my sensitivity on the microphone. It is the same sensitivity level on the microphone, and I didn't change anything on the DSLR of the manual sound, what you're hearing right now as I'm speaking. So I didn't change anything. This is how a UCM motor sounds on Atto. Switch it to Atto. It's really, really quiet. You can barely hear it. Switch it to manual focus. This is how it would sound. The manual focus, where it adjusted, where it kind of zoomed out of the lens, which doesn't zoom out, but when you're manually focusing it, it will go back into the lens if I turn off the DSLR. This lens is also called the Nifty 50, and the reason for that is you can buy an adapter of 49mm, which is the thread size of this lens. there will be like a circle and a line going across the circle. That shows you what filter size you need for this lens. And that adapter goes on screws in the front, and then you can switch it around and make it as a macro. I'll show you. I'm gonna switch my lens to my 18 to 135mm lens. You would place the adapter on the top of this, which is the thread size. You would screw it in, and you would flip it to the other side and screw this side to the lens mount. And then what would happen is that when you are filming, you would have a macro, and you would film it from this way. I wouldn't recommend it. The reason for that is this area is open. So if a dust falls on this area and then you would switch over to the other side, that dust can fall into your mirror or your sensor, which will be a bad thing. But that is the reason why they called it the Nifty 50. The pros and cons about this 50mm lens is the pros, it's a really affordable lens, under 200 bucks. It is worth it, and you're paying for the price of the build quality. The cons, it's plastic, and to how it feels, it doesn't feel that durable, so I wouldn't recommend dropping this lens. With any lens, you have to be really careful with any lens. There's no image stabilization. This lens is only for a tripod and setting up your DSLR on a tripod and getting that really nice portrait or close-ups with this lens. Here's some videos filmed on this lens. If you thought this video was helpful, share it. If you liked this video, click the like button. Click the notification bell to get notified when there's a new video, because you don't want to miss on a new video, because there's exciting stuff happening on this channel. And also, subscribe, be brave, continue filming. Until next time.